Are you connecting all the dots on the journey to your inner wisdom? Are you looking for a fresh perspective on the messages you've been asking for?
So who doesn't want to be happier, healthier, wealthier, and wiser, and be able to make life's choices with confidence because they finally see the signs? We know you do.
I'm Angela Coulter.
And I'm Sarah Sieg Avignoni.
We're two conscious journeyers dedicated to turning over those rocks and helping you on your personal intuitive sleuthing mission of evolution in our multi-dimensional hologram.
And that includes Earth too.
Yes, it does. Welcome to Solving Me, our conscious puzzle-solving podcast, where we look at the natural relation between your life experiences and their meaning in the bigger picture, from the most mundane to the most overwhelming.
So what do we mean by all this? Well, have you ever thought that getting a flat tire and twisting your ankle could be related? And maybe a message about what's preventing you from getting that awesome, high-paying job you would love. Believe it or not, it's all connected.
Want to know more? Come on and let's get sleuthing. See what comes up in this episode, because it might just be about you. Welcome to episode 14. This week, it's a great follow-up to what we talked about in the last episode on spring cleaning and cleaning clutter. And this is actually another episode that was based on audience request, on audience experience. Yes.
So we're talking those.
Yes, we do. Keep them coming. We love it.
Absolutely.
So what we're talking about is losing things, because this particular listener was talking about how they keep on losing things and what could the message be for them. So we thought, what a great topic.
Right. And I mean, think about the follow-up to being overwhelmed by what you're trying to keep track of, and how I know for me, I can always tell where I am in my clutter cleaning when I spend more time looking for things than actually what I'm trying to achieve. Mm-hmm. And I hit this wall of frustration, and it's like, okay, so what is this saying to me? What is all this stuff hiding from me saying to me?
Exactly. Or what am I hiding from myself? Or there are so many messages that can go with it. It depends on the situation. So, as we always say, ask inside. So what is this here to show me?
Exactly. And a lot of times I find that for me, it's what is missing. And, silly me, I take my glasses off all the time. And today I was panicked because I take them off and I put them down. Well, I can't see because I don't have my glasses on. So then I really get panicked. Where are they? 9 times out of 10, they're on my head.
Yes.
And I immediately go to the hard places instead of, well, of course I would put them somewhere logical. So complicating things for myself, making it harder for myself. Mm-hmm. So what is it that I'm trying to avoid?
Or distract myself from.
Exactly. Or another really good one is I'm talking on the phone to my sister, and all of a sudden I go, oh my God, I can't find my phone.
I think we've all done that.
And it's like, okay, I need to get off the phone and finally do what I'm meant to be doing.
Right.
Because I don't think it's talking on the phone.
Yes, exactly. And so there's like two sides to the losing things. One is, if you do it based off of our last episode where we're talking about the clutter, is you have too many things that you're managing that do not serve you, so that they're distracting you from what it is that does serve you, or that you could use right now, that you are wanting to use, and yet you can't find it.
Right. Yeah, you're distracted from what's really important.
Right. Or are you distracting yourself by displacing something so that you don't have to do something else, because then you could just claim victimhood to, oh, well, I spent all this time having to look for this.
Right.
Or I couldn't do this because I couldn't find this.
Oh, what a great excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times I think about this. A certain bill that came in, or something you had to take care of. Well, you go to take care of it and you can't find it.
Oh, right. Yep. Yep.
And it's been sitting on the counter for 3 weeks. And you're going to take care of it. And suddenly it's not there magically. Now, there is on the energy side of it, there are parallel timelines that collapse and then absorb things into them. And I know that happens frequently. So that's a discussion for a different day.
Well, another subject within all this is like, for instance, my husband's going to bed and, he needs certain things to go to bed. He listens to podcasts and everything. So he's got to find his pods and he's got to find this and he's got to find this. And it's like, they're always missing at bedtime, even though every night at bedtime, he's always looking for them. So why is he not allowing himself that ease of having what he needs to make himself feel comfortable?
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
and why are you not the priority to do that? Why are you not letting yourself be the priority?
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. It's like, I'm worthy of the comfort of having everything that I need when I need it.
Yes.
That's a big one.
How about when you're going to leave the house and you can't find your keys?
Oh, right. Yeah. What's the resistance to where you're going?
Yes.
Using your time to take care of something. There's so much right there. So much.
And so the key is always stopping and looking at the context of the situation. Losing things can mean a lot of different messages. It could have a lot of different aspects to it. Like we were saying, it can be a distraction. Mm-hmm. It can be a lack of prioritization for yourself. It can be something that you have too many other things going on that are not relative or not important to look at. Yeah. And that's where you stop and be like, okay, what is this telling me? Like, what is this for me? And you can test that within yourself. You can ask yourself these questions because we all know that's why we're giving ourselves these messages. And you can say, you know what? It can't be that. When you say it can't be that, that's usually the first place to start looking.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. The first thing that you discount is usually what it is.
Now, what about on a bigger scale? What about things like losing your memory, losing your eyesight?
Oh, right. Yep. Those are really big fears.
Yes.
Really big fears. Or, I know we've talked about lack of money in another episode, but losing money.
Losing money is a big one. Yeah.
That could be an episode in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. A combination of two different big messages right there.
Right.
So, and when we talk about things like that, losing mobility as we age.
Right. Yep.
Or losing mobility, period. Like say somebody, hurts a leg. How about an athlete who loses mobility in one of their legs because of an injury?
Right. Loses their ability to earn a living.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's a significant message.
Yeah. So that's like a big jump up from the little losing the car keys.
Right. It is. Or, and we've already talked about the house and everything, but losing your home.
Yes. Losing your spouse, losing a child, losing somebody you love.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and I can feel that in my chest as we say all that, because that's bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh, and just so impactful. The energy behind it is incredible. If you really take a moment and stop and say, okay, how is this showing up in my life?
So let's look at that for a minute. So sometimes the message on losing something big like that, right? So this changes its scope entirely, because usually it's something we're very attached to emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Losing your job, losing a spouse, losing your home, losing your life, losing somebody in your life. And so the challenging lesson to see, and now we're looking at things without judgment, so in acceptance of the bigger picture and how it all fits, is sometimes you've gotten so many messages to let go of something and you've ignored it for so long, and so repeatedly that your expanded self says, okay, well, guess what? I'm taking it away from you now.
Exactly. Yep.
And so we get devastated, emotionally devastated because of that loss, because we feel like we've lost a part of ourselves when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And typically it's because we have distracted ourselves so much by whatever it is that we've lost, that we've been missing this redirect that's been coming from our expanded self saying, yeah, it's time for us to go this way. And you're like, no, I want to stay here. I want to stay here with this. There's
This is good enough.
This is good enough. And I'm comfortable here. I know this here. I don't want to change because this is good enough. This is the evil I know versus the evil I don't kind of thing. And so we do that all, those things, the losing things at that scope and that level, those are the big changes in our lives that we fear often because we have so much of our identity and our comfort invested in it.
Right. Who we are so wrapped up in externals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's like the much bigger facet of that. So when we have that happen, we tend to fall right into victim mode. Why does this happen to me? I can't believe this happened to me. I'm such a victim.
Bad luck.
Yeah, bad luck. And we stop there. We tend to stop there to be like, oh no, that's all out there. It has nothing to do with me. But here we go. Here's the quote. If having is evidence of wanting, why do I have this in my reality?
Exactly. Why have I created this for myself?
Yes. And so that's, and the other thing on the other side of that, and this is probably an episode in itself, is what are we holding on to with such a death grip that we are missing everything else that's passing by us to attend to on our journey?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yep. What am I letting define me instead of me defining it?
Mm-hmm. And so this is a place for us to be really gentle with ourselves, really gentle, really loving, really supportive, because then the next thing we want to do is kick ourselves.
Right. Right. Yep.
Well, if I would have known, what do we say? If I would have known, I would have done this differently. Would you though? You probably had about 50 chances to do it differently and you didn't.
Yes. Yes.
Until that version of you finally said, okay, well, guess what? We're going to have to rip off that big old Band-Aid and take it away.
Yep. Right.
And so I'm not saying that's bad. It's not a bad thing, but.
And it's not a right or wrong thing. It's just, I'm here now. So let me look at the value of where I am right now and come to a place of gratitude of I've made it this far. So now where can I go from here?
Exactly. And typically, so here's something that's attached to that too, is I've had many clients over the years. I had this one year, it was very weird. Within a 6-month period, I think almost every client I had like their worst fears come to play, right? And typically when you have that come to play, it's losing. So the thing you're most afraid of losing is what you lose: your house, like we're saying, your house, your spouse, your kids, custody of your kids, or your job or whatever. And every single time, not one client that went through that, because it was crazy. Like in 6 months, I was getting all these texts and emergency phone calls. I need to talk to you right now, with, tears and everything else, men and women. On the far side of it, once they flowed through and processed through whatever, and I would say to them, so how are you now? In the scope of that being the thing that you were the most afraid of happening, that it happened.
Yep.
And every single time they would say, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Honestly, I feel sort of relieved. I didn't realize how much energy I was putting to holding on to that.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I feel lighter.
Right. And I had no idea what I was holding myself back from.
Yes. So that's the important thing to look at. And there's nothing wrong with mourning, letting go of something. I was happy for my house to go. It was time for us to move on. Like going back to the previous episode, we were talking about spring cleaning, and when we moved out of our house through eminent domain, and we had great compensation. It worked out to be perfect timing for us and everything else. But it took me a good 6 months before we left that house to mourn it, because I was so attached to the memories from it, my kids growing up in it, and so many things in my life happening, major transitions and events. Right. But it was the universe literally saying, yeah, guess what? I'm taking this whole thing away because they're putting a road right through this house. Right.
You're done with this.
Yes.
How will you move forward from this?
And I let myself mourn. So the key is let yourself mourn it if it's something big.
Right. Right. And don't be the victim.
No, but let yourself mourn it. Hold off your judgment. And after you've mourned it, say, what was the purpose? Can I see the bigger picture? And what was this for me? I've had so many conversations about that, because then we get into this, especially with death of people and animals and whatever. There's always, of course, everybody has their own journey and their own choices, but it all interacts with everybody else's and stuff for whatever lessons and experiences they're choosing to have. So it's not to judge in any way. It's to see what the value and the message is there. So if we do one thing in this show and help you see that differently when it happens, because inevitably it happens, death happens.
Right. It does. It
of
does.
All kinds. Of all those things, relationships, jobs, people.
Well, and so many of the episodes we've already talked about, like pets and your homes and money. I mean, that touch on so many of the episodes we've already done, but it all has that message and okay, now from here, where do I go?
Let me mourn this. Let me come to a place of gratitude for what it has done for me in the past. Bring myself to the present. So now I can move forward. And guess what? Declutter in a big way.
Exactly. Another episode brought in.
Yes. So think about that. And I have a feeling the listener who had requested something about losing things was about the smaller things. But what came in the middle of this was, oh yeah, you got to talk about these big things too.
Exactly.
So ask yourself, what is this here to show me? Sit back and be present with it and say, what is the message for this? That's for all of the stuff we talk about. Why am I losing this? Why did I lose this? Why am I losing multiple things? Is there a theme on the things I'm losing?
Yeah.
Because that might be a message as to what it is that I'm holding on to, then I might not be serving me right now. And then,
or my resistance lies in this general area because I can't seem to hang on to this.
Yes. Or whenever I'm going to do this, I seem to lose 5 different things and I never get my time to do that. What's that resistance about?
Exactly.
So see, it's so funny how sly we are with ourselves. It's pretty fun. That's why we love doing this show.
We are ultimately creative. We're the most creative that there is.
Absolutely. So there's your reflection, and hopefully you'll stop losing things now.
Or you'll be able to quickly identify the purpose of the loss.
Yes. Yep. Thanks for listening to us on Solving Me. If you found this podcast helpful, make sure to subscribe so you get noticed every time we post a new episode.
And for a short time, we have a special bonus for you. Go to solvingme.net to download your free ebook, which outlines the next level of conscious solutions for your inner investigation.
Be sure to help us spread the word. Share us with others you know who want to solve the puzzles of their everyday life through the filter of expanded consciousness and have fun doing it.
One more thing. Do you have some puzzling life circumstances where you feel blocked and you'd like our take on what's going on? Send us your conscious puzzle at connect@solvingme.net and maybe you'll be the topic of a future episode.
Until next time, happy sleuthing.